Hi, folks. So, I want to talk about the pain in giving too much and the pain in giving too little. Okay. And, for myself, I don't really follow the notion that you must give without expectation, right? Or you must support without expectation, or you must assist without expectation. That expectation is seen as a should. These people should be doing this. This is the response that you should be getting, or that you should be replying to, or something like that. It's a shouldn't. You shouldn't have expectations. You should just give open-heartedly. And I don't agree with that, because I think that what you're doing is you're giving over your energy. You're giving over your energy, and it needs to be received. And by it being received, it needs to be acknowledged by the receiver. Okay, and to a certain degree, there just needs to be an acknowledgement and appreciation. Now, it's a very, I don't know, silly notion to expect that, in all spheres of life, that you loaned money to a friend in a time of need and they did pay you back, and now you need to loan some money from them and they say no. It's not you scratch my back, I scratch yours type of thing, or something like that. It's like you'll be let down, or you cook a meal for a family member or your husband or your wife, or whoever it is. You go through a tremendous amount of effort, spent hours doing it, and they come home and I don't know, they just wolf it down, whatever it is, in front of the TV, and then they go to sleep without acknowledging whether it was tasty, what your efforts were involved, went into it, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so you feel, okay, yeah, right, sure. So the next night you're going to be doing the same thing again. No, you're not. Okay. So that's an example of what I'm saying, is that, right, giving to somebody who also has a self-serving sort of mentality is also not really giving. Um, I find, to the person, they're not really receiving it. I was watching Afterlife. It's a TV series by Ricky Gervais. And, it ended off in the first season of him being sort of very friendly to the postman. Before, he was a bit of an arsehole, Ricky, to the postman, but now he's actually taken a bit of a different sort, and he's being more helpful and assisting. And so the postman now, now they're friends, and the postman says, can I go to your toilet to take a leak, one day when he's delivering the post, and Ricky says, sure. So the postman goes upstairs for some time, and Ricky says, look, I need to get going, what's going on? And he walks into the bathroom, he finds that the postman is having a bath in his bath without even asking, nothing or other, And so Ricky realized, I can't actually be giving to this postman. I can't be thoughtful. I mean, I can be thoughtful to a certain degree, but I can't be open-hearted with him, because he'll take advantage, right? And so that's what I'm saying. A lot of people will just simply take advantage. I know so many people that I've just enabled, right, and have just taken advantage of me, and not being able to let's say, what I've given them, to take that forth into their own lives, carry that forward, right? And make something with it, the opportunity that I feel that I've given them. And again, it wasn't that they had to repay me back in kind or in the same way. They just needed to, my wish for them was to take the opportunity, to take, and go with it, the potential of what I'm giving them, and go with it, whether it's just, whether it's spiritual, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whatever I'm giving my energy, I want you to take it and run with it and do it, whatever it is. And also, so there's all different areas to this, all different facets to this. And so, but one I wanted to kind of address on was that, like, firstly, what I have found through sharing of information on the phone, or not so somewhat on YouTube, but to people that I know in my life, just sending them interesting videos, insightful videos, or just information, just in general, whether it's psychology, conspiracy, holistic health, or whatever it is, and just not feeling any sort of reply, not sort of, well, thank you, or acknowledgement of this really impacted me, or this really made me think, of something like that. And sort of, sometimes people that are in my life that I love and I care about, and I want them, and I'm interested in, I think this will benefit them. And then sometimes I understand that it's not the greatest of forums, on cell phones and technology and even YouTube, to be really doing this kind of work. Because a lot of the time, like, let's say I'm sending something, let's say, to my aunt, all right, and I think it's very, very heartfelt. I think it's very sentimental. I think it's very important to know. She might be driving in a car, right, and then she stops her car, she switches on her phone, checks her messages. Oh, I see a message from Aaron, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, fine, whatever, and carries on with the day. type of thing, completely forgets the relevance, importance, significance, the richness of maybe what I'm sharing with her. And it's not about her replying at that time, but it's like, you want to have a dialogue with people. You send them something and you want to have a dialogue. Like, what did you think of this? And sometimes I do. I say, like, please tell me what you think of this. And the person doesn't get back to me. I don't feel rejected. It's not a rejection. It's like, well, you don't have time for me. It's like, we can't, it's like what I'm giving to you, I just don't feel that there's any sort of dialogue with, there's any exchange with it. It's, and not only that, but like the next conversation that we have, the person's completely forgotten about it, and maybe it happens for me from time to time, but I really like, okay, so there's much to be said here, but that's one of that's one of the problems and the downsides of technology, okay. And so also like YouTube videos, sometimes I put my heart and soul into some of my videos when the heart and soul does come out, when I get out of my own way. And just sometimes the feedback is so dismal. I mean, I remember I did a video the other day when I first started recording myself and I was having an issue with the lighting. And I did about a 38-minute video, a video that I was working on for a hell of a long time. And one of the comments that I got in the comment section was the reason for the lighting being, because the light was, sort of going, like it is sort of now, but not as bad, all right? It was, going lighter and darker. And it would happen when I would move my head, just like it's doing now in a way. And the person commented it's because of my cap, the peak of my cap, right? That was happening with the light. I thought to myself, wow, is that what you took from the video? And you feel so despondent. You feel so despondent. It's like, oh man, it's like, is that what you took from 38 minutes of my heart and soul and my insight, whatever it is? It's like, and so again, a lot of my viewers, I feel that are possibly people that I couldn't connect with. I feel it's only maybe a small percentage, maybe about, I don't know, 10%, 15% or something like that, or whatever it is. And so it makes it harder. I suppose in my videos at times I do get a bit sort of discouraged because I do feel that I'm putting out a high value of quality and content and heartfulness and insightfulness and my own experience. And I feel that just generally over the years, I just felt like I haven't necessarily, I mean, I have to some degree, but not to the again, not it's not about the congratulations, or it is about the appreciation, but it's like, yeah, man, this message, your insights, you're sharing it. I mean, I do get it from time to time, but I think generally overall I feel quite discouraged and despondent by the lack of synergy and resonance or feedback that I, over the years, and emotionally, that I'm getting from my subscribers. I think sometimes some people are so self-serving, they're just like, hey man, why haven't you replied to my comment? And the person left a comment 3 days ago. Then I do reply and I say, sorry, I try and get to all your comments, and then I don't hear from them, whatever it is. Or someone pours their heart out in a way and lists all their problems and or whatever it is, which is fine, offloads, whatever it is, and I give a hearty response, a massive response back, and I get nothing in return, and I feel like, well, why do I even bother, type of thing. And so it gets very tricky. It really does. It gets really tricky in giving of energy. I remember, it's a bit personal, but a few years ago, whatever it was, there was a woman who, she was single and I was single, and I wasn't attracted, I mean, I wasn't emotionally attracted to her, but we were like kind of friends, and and when we would get romantic at times, we'd get sexual, let's just put it at times, and for myself it was a service, and for her it was a service as well. But I felt in her own life that a lot of the time she needed, it was company, and it was beautiful in the moments, and it was sensual, and it was, pleasing, and it was great, sexual healing in a way. But what I also found was that, like, after the next day, I felt like almost something was taken from me, like an energy of sorts, where it wasn't returned. I felt like, in those moments of just sort of hugging and embracing and spooning and whatever it is, after the love making, whatever it was, it's just because it was so intense that I felt like almost that she was sort of infantile in a way. She didn't have that space that I wanted for her to have for me. There wasn't that kind of where she embraced me in a sense, and she was, giving back that energy to me and that recognition, and like, being able, and I'm not talking about love, I'm just talking about human beings, you know what I mean? Like when you acknowledge the other person's presence, in a divine way, and their energy in a divine way, and you give it back to them. You give it back to them. And, it's almost like sometimes you shake someone's hand and their hand is so limp, and you feel like, come on, man, shake my hand, meet me halfway here. Don't, type of thing. That's what you want. You want somebody to meet you halfway with the energy that you're giving out towards them. Okay, in all relationships, in all facets of life, right? You want to be met halfway. Okay, you don't want to also have a negotiation. Well, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's not about that. Okay, it's an intention. I'm saying it should be there that we are constantly acknowledging each other's efforts and energies, and and what we are supplying, giving and assisting to the other person. Okay. I mean, at the best of times, you just struggle for people to see who you really are on a soulful level. People are so tied up into your identity and stereotypes and whatever it is. And even your goodwill is generally seen, especially in today's world, it's like goodwill is seen as ulterior motives, which it is. I mean, if you look at Mr. Gates and whatever it is and what's his story, it's all ulterior motives. Pharmaceuticals, all ulterior motives. Media, all ulterior motives. Double standards. Behind genders, whatever it is. It's like, you see someone giving to charity. Generally, a lot of the time, it's like because they just want their company. Let's say a company's giving to charity. It's because they want, to look good to the public eyes, whatever it is. Well, meantime, they're the highest provider of carcinogens or something like that in their I don't know, supply chain of products of makeup, perfumes, or whatever it is. But then they'll give to sort of cancer associations. These things, like I often see them when they have these runs for cancer awareness, and who's doing it? It's a makeup product. And what have they got in their makeup? If you go and look in the ingredients, whatever it is, these are all carcinogens or whatever. So again, we live in that world where it's not. I heard something interesting. I was watching a movie and it's quite intense. I think it's called Zoe or whatever it is, and it's hard to get into, but it's about robots and that they look like people, and the one robot speaking to the other robot who's a prostitute, something like that. And she says, one thing you'll understand about a lot of, like what I understand about a lot of my clients is that what they love about me is the way that I make them feel. I was like, bam, wow, that's exactly it. That's the nail on the head. It's like, that's what we're about. It's like, how do you make me feel, right? Not how do I make you feel. It's how do you make me feel? Like, it's so completely narcissistic, self-serving, type of thing. And so we get into these relationships. It's like, well, how are you going to make me feel even about myself? Which is part true, but it's not the be all and end all. We're just so self-centered, okay? And so, like I find in just even being a good tenant, whatever it is, it's like, well, when it comes to the landlord, it's like, it's only been a good tenant to him, to how it's served the landlord. But when it's come to me getting my deposit back and him being fair, and respecting of, I've returned the place as I found it, and then them saying, well, they're wanting, to keep the money because they believe it's in their account already, their deposit, the deposit refund. They say, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And you say, firstly, that was broken before. And it's a whole negotiation. Like I mentioned before, last year, well, it was last year, at the beginning of this year, about the guy that I rented in the carpets. I mean, there was like a small sort of stain on the tiny, and he wanted to replace the carpets through the whole house, and I was renting it for friends, for my staff, and the rental was 11,500 rand, okay? And he wanted to replace the carpets for 26,000 rand. So it was double my deposit. I mean, what a narcissist. And I was such a good tenant. Really paid the rent on time, went the extra mile in fixing things, got my guys in the house to fix the plumbing or whatever it is, paint, just went over and above, which I do most of the time. But yet when it came to him, it's like, well, now you're not serving me anymore, and now I want you to serve me even further. And that's the problem. Again, like I was saying in the story with, did I mention it? I had to do this recording twice. I think I did, about Ricky Gervais and being kind to people. And as soon as you do, then they take advantage. They take, then they want you to save them completely. They want you to drown with them a lot of the time, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so like that's the problem with giving too much, is going to be painful when it's not received, okay, or it's not acknowledged, and there isn't some kind of feedback, there isn't some kind of acknowledgement, isn't some kind of, again, somebody takes what you've given them, whether it's like for myself, it's insight, it's spiritual information, conscious information, whatever it is, and they don't use it, okay, and they don't appreciate it, and just love in general, energy in general. Like, again, when it comes to intimacy, there's a huge exchange of energy when it comes to love making. I really find that. And I can't tell you how many times I have been depleted afterwards, because for myself, I've become so, enravished and so involved and so focused on the person and the heights that you're reaching during lovemaking and whatever it is, and just how you're opening yourselves up to one another energetically, and you're entering each other's worlds completely. You're leaving this world behind, and it's huge, and you're holding, especially from a man's perspective, that I have felt like the man that holds the woman tightly when she feels vulnerable after the experience, or after climax, let's say, and she's feeling, sometimes there is this emotion, they feel emotional, and you hold them, and as a man you got to have that masculine energy to embrace the female and secure the female and have the female to feel secure, okay, and so there's a responsibility on that. But a lot of the time I have felt that the person in the feminine energy has been broken, right? It's not whole, it's not incorporated, it's just, and so I've had to hold even tighter, than that feminine energy doesn't seem to reciprocate to me. Like, it's all, I have to be the masculine, and what about me? What about my vulnerabilities? What about my feelings of emotions? In my feelings of exposure, my feelings of disclosing who I am, giving my energy to you, because there is a sacred energy, in that. There's no question about it, And so it's like, but so what about me? And so some people, like that woman, she can be so broken in her own way. A beautiful person, but so broken in her own way that she can't, give back. And so the next day for myself, I feel depleted, right? I feel depleted. And I sometimes feel foolish as well, and just not cool, not comfortable, So, that's it, folks. Like, the light is bothering me, this going on and off. It's like so important that's why, when you give authentically, and you want to be received authentically. You want that exchange. You need that exchange. It's not, you shouldn't have expectation. You need that expectation. You don't want to be taken for granted, right? You don't want to be overlooked. You don't want to be wasting your energy in all types of giving. You don't want to be wasting your energy, right? I've done it so many times, and I keep doing it. And so for myself, it's like now the pain of giving too little, right? You give so little that you just feel like it's so painful. You want to give more, but you can't, because it just hurts you even more so. It's challenging, it's hard so even more so. So, because you want to give, like that's your being, you want to share, right? You want to support, you want to love, you want to encourage, you want to motivate, right? And a lot of the time, well, firstly, sometimes when you do encourage and you do motivate and you do support, other person gets frustrated. Other person says, stop believing in me, right? Stop believing in me. Like, stop encouraging me, because you're having expectations of me, and I'm going to let you down, and don't put expectations on me. Don't have any hopes on me. Don't have any, just intentions for me. Just let me be, for crying out loud. Take your love and put it somewhere else, because I can't handle it, right? I don't want it. You believe in me more than I believe in myself, right? And so you got to back off with that giving, with that love, with that support, okay? And I don't know, folks, you probably find yourselves, if you've made it this far in this conversation, a lot of the time you are mostly the giver, right? You are the provider. Again, I'm not talking about financially, or sometimes you are, sometimes, I'm not talking about that, but I'm saying when it comes to consciousness, right? and love, you are the primary giver probably in your life, and you're receiving very little to what you possibly are allowed to give out, or that you manage to give out, or just, yeah, like, or the quality of love, right, that you give out, you get back in the quality is much less and very infrequent as much as you do, you know. And so again, it's the pain of giving too little, and it's the pain of giving too much. And I suppose it's that Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, but in between, or something like that. But again, I'm finding that, well, let me just put it this way, to have a healthy expectation that I can't expect that if I'm giving people conscious material to be able to receive it to the depth that I'm receiving it. You know what I mean? Like, you're exposing something, the lie, the inauthenticity is part of the Truman Show. And for you, it's groundbreaking. It's let's say a synchronicity of sorts. It's something supernatural. It's metaphysical, right? I mean, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about like having for somebody to reach on the same level that you are to be. No, I'm not talking about that. But I am talking about to the degree that you send somebody information, or you talk about something conscious, or you expose something in the Truman Show, and for them, and you expose it time and time again for themselves. It's like, well, it's interesting, but I don't care. And don't come to me about planting seeds, okay? Because planting seeds for other people to a certain degree, but you must understand that most of your seeds will not sprout. And how many seeds are you going to be planting? How many seeds are you going to sow? Because sowing seeds is not easy, right? I mean, it's a task. I'm a gardener. It's frustrating, right? I'm not a gardener. I try and grow some veggies. But it's frustrating. It's not just so willy-nilly. You put effort. You put time, right? You put consideration. You have patience. For heaven's sake, it's not, like as if you're throwing seeds, like you've just got so many seeds just to, here you go, I've just got packets and hundreds of pounds of seeds or whatever it is, and here you go, and I'm just throwing it on the fertile soil, and it's already raining, so my job is done. For heaven's sake, it's not like that, folks. Planting seeds is a bloody big effort, requires a whole lot of energy and strength, So what I'm saying is that not to become not planting seeds, because we do have a duty and we do have a responsibility of waking people up, of exposing the Truman Show, of directing them within, or whatever it is, however you want to put it, helping them become aware of their own potential, and whatever, passing on the torch of consciousness, as many people would say. So we do have a responsibility for that, but make sure that it's quality and not quantity. Make sure that it's like, it's going in the right direction, right? In the most worthwhile direction, without spreading yourself too thin. Okay, don't take the amount of energy that you have for granted. Don't take the amount of love that you have for granted. It's not endless, I really feel. It's not endless. You need to have a reciprocation. You need to give love. You can't just keep on giving love. You need to receive love at the same time. Otherwise, you'll deplete yourself. There is no question about it. You will deplete yourself. Don't think that you are so like, I'm so enlightened, I'm so in touch, I'm so love and light, I'm just so unconditional that the universal love just pours through me at every given moment, and therefore I just have a surplus all the time, and whatever it is. I don't agree, and I know that there are bodhicitta's ideas or in Buddhism and things like that, but I say don't spread yourself too thin, and again, you need that reciprocation, you need that love, you need that recognition, right? You need that feedback, okay? It's so important. And you need that self-respect. That's what it's about, self-respect and respecting your sacredness, respecting your message, respecting your energy, your efforts, your intentions. All right, folks, we'll chat soon. Be well. Take care.